Hello there and welcome back to another review. Today I thought we'd have a look at Tiger Cage 1, made back in 1988, directed by Yuen. Obviously this is from the Tiger Cage box set, but like with all film series that I review, I always start with the first one. So we'll have a look at Tiger Cage 1 today, just giving you my thoughts and opinions on it. As I say, directed by Yuen, who obviously was most famous for directing a lot of the late 70s, early 80s classic kung fu movies such as Magnificent Butcher, Dreadnought, Dance of the Drunken Mantis, launching Jacky's career with Snake and the Eagle's Shadow, and, you know, them kind of films. So this was very much sort of his foray into sort of the modern day cop actioner, which were very much sort of in vogue at that point. I mean, Hong Kong filmmaking had sort of shifted away sort of from, like I say, like traditional kung fu movies into sort of, like I say, cops and robbers, drug dealers, people like cops trying to bust them, that kind of thing. What really makes this film work, especially like I say, Tiger Cage 1, what makes this film work regardless of the film itself and the action in it and the plot, you've got a great cast here. You've got a really good cast of people, a great ensemble of actors and action stars that really do come together to make Tiger Cage 1 work and flow really well. As mentioned, we've got Donnie Yen in this, is probably the most famous, a lot of people buy these films. You've got Donnie Yen, you've got people like Jacky Cheung, you've got Carol Cheung, you've got Simon Yam, you've got even Lung Ka Yan, otherwise known as Beardy, Brian Lung here. So a real nice mixture here. We've got a real nice group of people working together with this modern day cop action thing. So Donnie Yen had worked previously with Yuen at this point. He had obviously been in films like Drunken Tai Chi and Mismatched Couples, but I think this was very much his first sort of, him, because here he's very much a supporting role, and I think he was very much, along with the Yuen clan, he was very much helping out with the stunt coordination, the fight scenes, and I think that was something he sort of very relished the opportunity to do, just getting used to sort of that action choreographer role. As I say, a lot of people when they look at this film, they think, oh, Donnie Yen's in it, he must be the lead. Here he's very much a supporting role, so he's not sort of in the film that much, but here, as I say, I think what this was a chance for Donnie Yen to sort of get used to working behind the scenes, to working with new actors, to working with new, like, different action stars. And that's something that can be said a lot about Donnie Yen's films. If you watch even some of his later films, it's not always necessarily him all the way through it. Even if he is the main star and the lead, Donnie Yen is very generous to his other stars, his other co-stars, his other action stars. It's not usually just Donnie Yen all the way through start to finish. He does allow other people to shine. He does allow other people to have their moment in the sun with the action scenes, and that's obviously something he really enjoys. And I think Tiger Cage was very much sort of his sort of maybe first introduction into that, into sort of help, action scenes, action director, that kind of thing. As I say, this film's very much in the same vein as the Yes Madam Line of Duty series made in Hong Kong. That was sort of in vogue at the time. Cops and criminals. So that's sort of where the shift had gone. All the Tiger Cage films are done by Yuen. None of them are connected. So if you've started watching Tiger Cage 3 but you haven't seen Tiger Cage 1, do not worry about it at all, because basically the idea is they're three separate entities, really. They're obviously the Tiger Cage trilogy, but no film is connected to the other one. So don't worry if you're sort of, well, I'm going to watch Tiger Cage 2, but I haven't seen Tiger Cage 1. That's not a problem. You can just go into these films totally, just one at a time as standalone films. So the film starts with like a drug deal. Often these sort of cops and robbers, modern day action films always do. You've got the guys in the black suits, the sunglasses, doing a drug deal. That's usually how these films usually often begin. Jackie Cheung and his team, like who work for the anti-drug unit, their boss being Simon Yam, and they're basically trying to bust Johnny Wang's, sort of trying to take him down. And Johnny Wang, otherwise known as Wang Long Wei, you'll recognise him from so many kung fu movies, often usually playing the villain, and here it's no exception. So they're trying to bust him, take him down. In the opening scene, it's so strange seeing sort of like people like Yuen sort of in like a modern day setting, because usually you're so used to seeing these guys and these people in sort of like a traditional kung fu sort of surroundings. So seeing them like modern day with like suits and just around cars and things like that, it can be a bit strange if you're only just used to seeing them in the typical like kung fu gowns and things like that. Yuen Shin-yi, obviously you may recall, he's sort of the villain in Drunken Tai Chi. He was the lead in Dance of the Drunken Mantis. So Lun Ka-yen is sort of undercover here, and naturally it turns into a massive shootout. It usually does. It doesn't take long for bullets to start flying and the stunts to start happening. Lots of action right away, even with that opening scene after a very short time. Even like a shootout, it even goes onto the freeway, sort of the expressway. The only problem I have with that opening scene, not that there's anything wrong with it, and again, when I just say things like this, it's not me bad mouthing the film, it's not me saying the film's terrible, because it is a really good film. But with that opening scene, I always found it sort of, it's always hard to tell sort of who's who in that opening scene, because a lot of the criminals, they're sort of wearing just normal civilian clothes, and the cops are as well. So it's sort of who's shooting at who. Are they good? Are they bad? Because it does get quite chaotic, that opening scene. And of course, there's that old thing that the cops in this, and even the criminals, they never run out of bullets. You very rarely see them ever reloading a clip in their gun. So they've just got unlimited amount of bullets, which is fine. I understand that's sort of just sort of how these sometimes these modern day cop actioners, especially from the 80s, work. And then we learn that basically Lun Ka-young's character and Carol Chan's are there to be married, and they sort of work together. So they're sort of they're sort of on the verge of getting married, and we get the impression that these are like a team. You see them at a party, they're all bonding and laughing. You get a real sense that they're a family, with Jacky Cheung and Donnie Yuen and Simon Yam, and they're all together and they're all part of it. But obviously that's not going to last forever. Something's going to happen. It can't be all, as with any cop actioner or anything, whether it doesn't even need to be Hong Kong based. Anytime you see a group of cops in a film like this at the start having a good time, toasting, having a laugh and everything, not everything's going to be great for long. So then we find out basically Johnny Wayne's character from the start shootout, he survived. Jacky Cheung plants some tear gas in Lun Ka-yen's car to get him back for sort of a prank that he plays on him at the party. So Jacky Cheung's thought, right, I'll get you, and he plants some tear gas in Lun Ka-yen's car. He goes to get in his car. Just so happens at that time, Johnny Wayne's character comes driving around the corner and he kills him, because obviously Lun Ka-yen can't see because his tear gas has gone off. So he's sort of, he's impaired because he can't see anything. He can't defend himself. He don't know what's going on. He gets murdered. So in many ways, sort of him getting killed is all Jacky Cheung's fault. I know he probably would have died anyway, but may not have survived, but at least he might have stood half a chance of being able to maybe dive over the bonnet, hide behind the car or something. Here he doesn't even get a chance. Jacky Cheung, as I say, sets off like a whole pouch of tear gas, and he just cannot, there's no way he was going to survive with Johnny Wayne coming around the corner and just basically murdering him, really. All Jacky Cheung's fault. Worth mentioning as well, like I say, that they're going to get married, and just to drive that on home, Carol Cheung comes running out in her wedding dress, cradling him as after he's been sort of murdered. Jacky Cheung can't believe it, and it's like just to drive on home the fact that they were going to get married, just to make sure the audience are aware of that. Then we have like a montage of them all questioning people, doing their usual cop rounds, their anti-drug unit, trying to find out what happened, let's track this guy down. Fong Hak-on even makes a guest appearance here. Fong Hak-on, you may remember, as the villain from Magnificent Butcher, who's also in Warriors 2, the villain in that. He was sort of the main lead henchman in Police Story. So Fong Hak-on's been in more films than anyone can count, but here he's sort of, again, just sort of a cameo, sort of crops up in this film. And Donnie Yen and Uncle Tak, who is he's sort of the senior sort of respected role in their crew. They're pretending to sort of burn with like this blowtorch Fong Hak-on's sort of buddies, in order to extract information from them behind this curtain. And I always found it weird, because they're pretending, obviously, and they're pretending to burn somebody, and then like Donnie Yen or Uncle Tak is sort of doing the screams as though it's that person, and they're pretending to burn them. I always found that was actually happening. Fong Hak-on would surely be able to tell that's not their screams. That doesn't sound like them at all. That's you doing the screams. Surely you could tell if that's somebody you've known for quite a while, or some random cop doing just a random scream pretending it's them. But again, not a criticism. It's just one of them things where I think, would that, surely you could tell that they're just making that up. So, to basically just instill fear into Fong Hak-on, so he'll just fess up and just tell them what they need to know. Yuen Woo-ping even makes a brief cameo appearance here, just sort of as in he's no shy, Yuen Woo-ping, to being on the camera. He was in films, say, Mismatched Couples with Donnie Yen. He was also in Eastern Condors as well, Sammo Hung, and the assortment cast in that. Very brief appearance here, but Yuen Woo-ping does make a very small appearance in the film. Then basically they track the killer down to a harbour where basically they all come rushing after Johnny Wang, and there must be about 20-30 of them. I mean, he has like a football team coming after him at this point in the middle of the day. I mean, I think they probably got enough from the anti-drug unit to sort of come along and bust him and arrest him. I mean, it seemed a bit overkill to me, but it's not like subtle is not key here. They just have everybody rushing towards him at the harbour. When arrested, we find out that Uncle Tat is basically he's like I say, a respected father figure in the ranks. We find out he's dealing drugs, and he says, basically Johnny Wayne says as they're walking away, as he's in custody, they said basically, I will let them know. Basically, if you don't get me out of this, I'm going to blow like what you do. I'm going to let them know what you do. And what he does is he sort of gives him his gun. Uncle Tat gives him his gun, and he pretends that Johnny Wayne sort of got it off him. He's taken it from him somehow. So sort of frames him in that respect, and then he gets murdered. He gets killed there, Johnny Wayne's character. So they shoot him. So they've gone from like chasing this guy who you think is going to be sort of that's the villain, and that's where this film does work, because it regardless of the action and the thriller aspect of this film, it's more about, I would say, this, although it does have some great, like I say, some kung fu and some great action set pieces, some great shootouts, it's more about cop corruption. It's more about sort of that person in your ranks who's doing the dirty work, who is not everybody is who they say they are, and you get the vibe of that as the film goes on. So as mentioned, Simon Yam is their boss, and obviously it turns out he's the one that's corrupt, and at one point he takes Shirley out, Carol Chang's character, and he says, I've taken you out to make you happy, why are you so dull? I remember seeing that, and it's like, well, I'm thinking probably it might have something to do with the fact her future husband was brutally murdered. It might have something to do with the fact she might be a bit down in the dumps, just a smidge, because she's lost the person she loves. Just a suggestion. Just maybe that might be the reason why. So then we see basically Uncle Tat doing like a drug deal on a public barge in the middle of the day in the open, and Jacky Cheung's character films them with like the world's largest video camera. Jacky Cheung, obviously, at this point as well, suspects Donnie Yen too, as they were sort of like master and student. So there's sort of that paranoia going around in their department now, like who else is in on it, what is going on. Then back at Shirley's, I say Carol Chang's character, Michael, Simon Yam, they find passports and large sums of money sort of transfers in this drawer. We find out Lun Kai-yen sort of forbid her to go in. And she says, I was never allowed in that drawer. And he's like, Simon Yam goes, can we open it? She goes, yeah, I'll get the key. So she had the key. Like, she knows where the key is and everything. But anyway, she opens this drawer. It's obviously the stuff has been planted there. It's a setup. We know at this point somebody's planted it. Then we have like Uncle Tat doing a deal, which Donnie Yen busts them. And then we have so far probably the best fight scene in the movie. Really amazing choreography and moves here from Donnie Yen fighting Michael Woods, who he did fight in. He fought a few times actually. He's won in Tiger Cage 2 and in The Line of Duty. So some really great stuff here. Michael Woods obviously knew Donnie Yen, before this film was even made. Good friends off the camera as well as on. So we had this amazing fight scene with Donnie Yen. You're thinking, oh, right, here we go. Right, Donnie Yen's about to kick ass and everything. And like I said, I've seen this before. I saw it on VHS back in the 90s. And spoiler alert, when they killed Donnie Yen off, I remember screaming at the film, like, why have you done that? Why have you killed Donnie Yen off? You see basically the best fight in the whole film. You see the best action scene in the film so far. Donnie Yen showing his stuff, really, you think, oh, we're going to get to see Donnie Yen kick some ass now. And then they kill him off. But to coincide, what the flip side of that is, the way they shoot it and the way Yuen Woo-ping does it, it's really well done. It adds suspense and drama. And I think that was the whole reason why Donnie Yen said, like I say, supporting role, but he was able to get work a lot more behind the camera with this film, get used to choreographing and being a stunt coordinator and getting used to, like I say, working with different actors. But when they kill him off, I mean, basically gets his brains blown out, but the way they shoot it and the way it's done is really good, and the effect of it is really, I think the idea is, as an audience, you're meant to think, no, you know, I think that in a way it works, but God, it's so frustrating when they do. So the film, in the second half of the film, it really does, I think it does lack not having Donnie in it. That is not to take anything away from Jacky Cheung and the rest of the cast. And I mean, Simon Yam is obviously fantastic, whatever he's in, whatever the man is in, he's amazing. But I do think the film lacks something, especially when, like I say, you got a director like Yuen Ping and Donnie Yen. You just want to see Donnie Yen on screen doing his thing. But yeah, Donnie Yen, unfortunately, he gets killed. You know, and you just, even watching it again now after all these years, it's still, you think, oh, you know. So basically, as I say, turns out Simon Yam is corrupt. Jacky Cheung gives him this videotape with some evidence, like I say, he was videoing Uncle Tat, which Simon Yam switches as he doesn't want it to get out. There's another one Jacky Cheung had at his girlfriend's house, which Uncle Tat goes to get. His girlfriend overhears him talking to Simon Yam, so she finds out about the corruption and what's going on. Jacky Cheung gets framed, gets drugs in his locker. You know, it goes over them beats that a lot of these sort of modern day cop actioners do, you know, being framed, evidence being covered up by the police chief. And, you know, so the film basically, after much back and forth, is basically just boils down to them exposing Simon Yam and the truth, and Uncle Dat, you know, obviously getting his sort of, not redemption, but getting his comeuppance, and just how much he let himself down and let the team down when he was a respected figure and things like that. As mentioned, it does miss Donnie during the second half, and that, please believe you me, that is not to take anything away from the rest of the cast in this film, because I think they all do a fantastic job. As mentioned, I mean, Simon Yam, amazing whatever he's in. Jacky Cheung, Carol Cheng, all really good stuff. It was lovely to see Lun Ka-yen here. It was really good, and the film really does work in that aspect of, like I say, cop corruption, paranoia, who's the one covering it up. Because as I say, initially you think it's going to be Johnny Wang, Wang Long Wei, you think it's going to be him who's sort of the main villain throughout, and it's just going to be them sort of taking him down and taking him out. But after he gets killed, you realise it's going to be more focused on actually the enemy is coming from within. The enemy is like within our ranks. Does miss Donnie though the second half, and that's only because I'm a huge Donnie Yen fan, and obviously you know, Tiger Cage 2 to me is, you know, it's probably the best, not just, and I don't mean just the best Tiger Cage, I mean, to me personally, it's probably one of the best, one of the best earlier Donnie Yen films you could ever see. But Tiger, that's not to take anything away from Tiger Cage. As I say, the lead in this pretty much goes to Jacky Cheung. Great performance from everybody. So if you've never seen Tiger Cage or any of them, definitely start with Tiger Cage 1. As I say, none of them are related. They have nothing to do with each other. But it's still a very good action film. As I say, wonderfully acted. Some nice little scenes here and there. Just in my opinion, just a shame Donnie Yen unfortunately disappears about halfway through the movie. But other than that, as I say, really good. It's not necessarily, in my eyes, 100% 5-star action classic, but still definitely a good modern day Hong Kong actioner, worth checking out. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you soon.